if I heard that you or Catherine made Jess cry, then what? One second, guys, before we get into this review, I need to do my bit for society. And I'm just quickly going to vote for my favourite girl, my favourite guy. Verify. Perfect. Coolio. So, hello beautiful people, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing okay and everyone is doing well. Another day, another Love Island review. I want to say it was a strong episode, but if anything, it was quite an irritating episode because if you watched, you definitely know. And if I do not tear Meddy's singlet in today's review, you're going to call me a liar. So, as I usually always say, number one, if you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe and definitely join the family. Guys, we're on the road to 30k! On the road to 30,000, so definitely be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Also be sure to follow me on my Instagram and also on my Twitter at SarahDestinyX. And number three, like I've been saying for literally the past week, please get cozy and comfy with a cold drink, no hot Ribena, because it is really cold. I have a lovely peach iced tea. You should get one. Anyway, yeah, let us get into today's review. Before we do, also, I want to give a huge... My stomach is making a lot of noise, but I want to give a huge shout out and happy birthday to Semyon. I hope your name is Semyon. I hope I said that right. But she commented on my video that it is her birthday today. So just want to wish you a happy birthday. Now let's get into today's review. So let's start off, let's start off with the aftermath of Tyrique and Ella. You guys already know about that whole situation. They had a conversation yesterday. Ella said that she's gonna crack on. Tyrique was getting angry, blah de blah, blah de blah. Now Whitney and Catherine went up to Ella to of course speak to her about it because she did kind of storm off. And you know, she was saying she just doesn't seem to understand why he doesn't make up his mind. I don't understand why he can't just pick me. At the same time, Tyrique was also speaking to Jess and Sammy, and he said that he wants to stay single because he isn't going to feel pressurized. And then Jess said that they need to come to a compromise. In all honesty, sorry guys, I'm so hot, but in all honesty, everything that I said in yesterday's review still stands. I think it is a very hard one because on one side, I feel like Tyrique has been very honest with the way he's been feeling towards Ella. But on the other hand, I feel like Ella, has literally only been like 10, 11 days / episodes. So I just wish that she played it a lot cooler. And I do honestly feel like if she moved on fully, then Tyrique would come to his senses and actually decide, you know what, let me stop playing around and playing games. I want to get to know this girl. But we know towards the end of the episode that ends up happening, but let's wait till we get there. All right. Now let's move on briefly to Jess and Sammy having a conversation. My eyes were definitely bleeding. I'm sorry. Anyone with eyes can see that Sammy is not as interested in Jess as she thinks. I mean, the body language, the eye contacts, the responses are off. She was of course speaking to him about, oh, I just feel like, you know, you're not really trying with me and sometimes I make more of an effort. And he was just basically saying like, oh no, it's not that or anything. He just honestly feels like he likes her and he likes the pace that they're moving at. I don't know what pace they're moving at, but it's not really giving a damn thing. Of course, Sammy was now speaking to... Who was he speaking to? Leah. Guys, I don't know, boo tomato boo. I'm so sorry. I get nothing from Sammy and Leah. Their conversations are so boring. They talk for so long, yet they say so little. Like, I don't understand. I'm not really here for Sammy and Leah. I find them both quite boring. And even when he was talking to his confessionals, he was just like, what did he say again? Yeah, he said, oh, Leah's tasty, like, you know, just a naughty bit of eye contact. I mean, who says stuff like that? I don't care for them. I'm so sorry. If you do, that's fine. But for me, on this channel, I don't think I care. Now, let's move on to this nonsense that happened, because this is where Meddy's singlet and Yash has to start tearing and being out, okay? This is where it has to start tearing. But on top of that, let's get into why it happened in the first place. So, number one, Catherine, Whitney and Jess were having a conversation around the kitchen. I do feel like the producers must have orchestrated that chat because it was so inauthentic. I mean, it was just, it didn't give a damn thing. I don't understand why they had that chat anyway. But of course, Whitney was saying that she feels like Jess needs to calm it down because it's too obvious that she dislikes Molly. And Catherine also told her to tone it down as well. So this was all part of the two-faced question that took place in yesterday's episode when I think she had to kiss someone on the cheek or high-five someone who was two-faced, and she decided to high-five Tyrique. And then she was miming or mimicking to Mitchell like, oh, I'm not going to pick Molly now, I'm not going to pick her, when I should have picked her. So it was all really weird, okay, which is why I definitely feel like the producers had an input there because the challenge has been gone. There's no need for us to bring it back. Now, Jess was like, she doesn't feel like Molly is two-faced, and that for me made me feel like Jess is actually quite fake, which is a shame because I have actually liked her character in this villa so far. But you've been telling everyone that she is two-faced. You even said in the challenge that you would have kissed her, but you didn't want to cause any commotion, but you believe that she's two-faced. And now all of a sudden, you're telling me to my eyes, that you don't think Molly is two-faced. It's given fake. I'm sorry. I'm just saying what I see. It is 100% given fake, okay? I mean, you even said in the challenge that you should have picked her. It doesn't make any sense. Now, Catherine also told her as well that she should cut all the whispers out and everything. And then all of a sudden, Jess just started crying, and then she stormed off like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to talk about it. I'm just going to stop because you're just getting on my nerves and I'm getting upset. And saying all of these things. And number one, guys, Karen tears. That's the first point, because my thing is Jess and Whitney and Catherine were speaking to her so calmly. I don't think I heard them shout. I think they were clearly and calmly trying to communicate over to her, and then she starts crying, making it seem like Catherine and Whitney are a problem. And the reason why I'm going to bring this up right now is because every year someone gets onto me, my reviews, like, oh, I hate when Sarah brings up the race card. Oh, Sarah brings up the race card. First and foremost, I'm not trying to be funny, but many of these things in regards to these microaggressions that you see when it comes to black people can actually only be understood by black people. Let's start there. Some other races do understand, but a lot of people don't. So you need to understand how that makes Catherine and Whitney look. And the only reason why I'm also mentioning it is because all of the racist trolls now started flogging on Twitter and saying, oh, these black girls, black bullies. I think that's completely unacceptable. So I don't know why I just cried. I have to be honest. Let me know down below if you know. Right now, I do not know. Beat me if you disagree, but I feel like those tears were irrelevant. Now let's move on to Medhi, because when I told you that if I don't tear Medhi's singlet in today's review, you're going to call me a liar, I mean it. So Whitney and Medhi are now having a conversation, right? And Medhi's just like, oh, if I heard that you or Catherine made Jess cry, then what? And that doesn't mean that I'm condoning bullying, by the way, because I don't condone bullying. But number one, who introduced Medhi to the situation? I don't know if someone invited him. It doesn't make any sense. So Medhi's saying, oh yeah, if I hear that you or... What do you mean if you hear? Okay, beat me. No, you have to beat me. In fact, flog me. You actually have to beat me, because I don't understand how you can involve yourselves in a situation that does not concern you. Guys, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What was Medhi playing at in today's episode? How dare you? And it's a shame, guys, because you guys know I've been saying this. I really like Medhi as a character, but today he showed me that Mitchell's madness can also be transferred to him. That's what he showed me. So, anything else I want to say about that? Not much other than the fact that I feel like Medhi was looking for a storyline. It was so irrelevant. He should have honestly sat down and ate his vegetables. It was not that deep for him to try and get involved. I'm sorry, it wasn't. You know when Nene said to Peter, you need to stay out of woman's business? This is why you need to stay out of woman's business, because I don't seem to understand how you can automatically fathom that because Jess was crying, Whitney is the one that caused it. Microaggression. Okay? Thank you very much. Now, let's move on to Leah and Sammy talking. Not much to say other than the fact that they both give me boo, tomato, boo energy. Like I said, a lot of chat, but no conversations whatsoever. Boring. Next. Now, let's move on. Sorry, guys. Let's move on to the following morning. So, Medhi was talking to the guys, and he was like, he got dragged into drama. Once again, I don't understand what he meant by that, because no one mentioned Medhi's name once in that conversation. He's looking for a storyline, and he needs to stop. Okay? He needs to stop. What else? Oh yeah, he also mentioned that it's given red flag, i.e. it's given red flag for Whitney. And that was quite sad to hear, because number one, sorry guys, I'm so hot. But number one, Whitney is one of the nicest girls in the villa. And even if this was a red flag, she's been nice to you all this time. So why is it all of a sudden that you think because of a situation that you're not involved in, that automatically, oh, off limits, she's a red flag? Medhi, be for real. Oh, be so for real right now. Now let's move on briefly to Whitney and Medhi now having a conversation about what happened. And he basically said that, no, she said, sorry, like, you know, you weren't even backing me. You were just looking at me like I was an egg. And the thing is, it's like, it's funny because I know Whitney doesn't really care, because I keep telling you guys, Whitney and Medhi don't like each other like that. They're in a friendship couple, and that's understandable and it's fine. But she was just like, yeah, you're just looking at me like an egg. Like, what was that yesterday? Definitely a bit confused. And my thing was like, with Medhi, so Jess came to speak to him after, and Jess was even just like, oh, you know, you shouldn't take your anger out on Whitney. It's not her fault. You should have backed her. You should have been a bit more understanding. And I just found that a bit weird, because it's almost like, number one, you should have had her back, even though you guys aren't in a proper couple. You should have had her back regardless. Number two, you shouldn't have jumped to conclusion that she was the reason that Jess was crying. And number three, even the tone that he was speaking to Whitney and Jess in was just very different. And like I said, someone can say I'm reading into this a bit too much, but Medhi was acting a fool today. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. He was acting very erratic. Not as erratic as Mitchell, because that one is on the caliber one. Okay? But he was acting very interesting today. Let's move on to them getting a text that it was time for them to show off their skills in a ball game called She's a Keeper. So we'll quickly just go through the results because, guys, what was going on in the House of Commons? What was actually going on? Let's get into it. So Leah ended up kissing Sammy as her star player. Boo tomato boo. I actually just don't care for them, guys. They're so boring. Wow. Molly ended up... Molly kicked the ball, and I think she kicked the ball, she slid on the thing, and she actually done a little twerk on the floor. As much as the twerk was decent, it's enough. Okay? We've seen, this is the second time in the challenge that she's come to arch her back. It's actually okay. But she ended up kissing Zach. Whitney kissed Zach. But let me tell you Whitney's reasoning, right? Whitney kissed Zach because she essentially said that everyone keeps talking about him, so she wants to understand the hype. I'm scared. Okay? I'm actually scared, but I have to scream because who else will do that? Only Whitney will do that. Catherine ended up kissing Andre. I know that's right. Like I said, I need to see more of them because we really don't see much of them in their couple, and the producers just need to do a bit more because I just want to see how things are developing with them as well. Jess ended up kissing Sammy, eating Sammy, shall I say, because that wasn't just a, it was a... Yeah. Ella ended up kissing Zach, and Tyrique looked so hurt. I'm not surprised. I do think this is the reason why he ended up doing what he done at the end of the episode as well, but we'll get into that shortly. Big Mummy ended up giving the red card to Ty and ended up kissing Zach. I don't think anything between Big Mummy and Zach is going to blossom, if I'm going to be honest. I know she does really like him, but I don't think Zach is on board that train. And what was so funny was while they were kissing, Whitney actually said it's giving sex. And the reason why that's so funny is because I feel like Whitney is definitely one of the most outspoken islanders, and you can tell that she's really herself. And she doesn't care, you know, a little giggle, a little laugh, she's ever here for it. Now, we'll speak about the debrief of the game. Not really much to say other than the fact that Jess was wondering if now that Leah has kissed Sammy, maybe something is going to spice up there. Like I said, I really just don't care for Leah and Sammy. I just find them so boring, guys. Let me know if you agree or disagree, but I find Leah and Sammy very boring. But of course, they ended up getting a text that it was time for Jess to get ready to go on a date because Jess actually was awarded the star player for the game, i.e. she was awarded the best kisser or best keeper or whatever it was. So Jess was chosen as the star girl for us to be introduced to the new Bombshell Scott. But we'll get into Scott shortly. Let's just go through some other things as well. One thing that was very weird, I don't understand why Sammy was like, I've got options. I don't get what he means. Like, he blatantly just told Jess, if you think you're the only girl that I like in this villa, babe, you better think again. But even if that is the case, because we know that he likes Leah, I just don't know why he said that. Like, what do you mean? I've got options. Like, you need to hush it. Okay? You need to close that mouth up, Sammy. All right? You need to close it up because it's really giving villa furniture. Let's move on to nighttime. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. I really don't intend to be shady. But you know when characters just, it's like Mitch yesterday when Mitch was like to Zach, oh, like, you're welcome. Like, you know, people thinking that they have main character energy in the villa and they're not the main character. It's embarrassing. Okay? It's actually embarrassing. Now let's move on to the nighttime. Jess got ready for her day. I won't lie, she looked cute. She wore like a red two-piece and I think she had red lips on as well. Before we get into her date where they introduce us to the new Bombshell Scott, we'll start off with Meddy and Whitney talking. Guys, if anyone is ever going to apologize to me the way Meddy apologized to Whitney, they shouldn't even come and speak to me. They can actually hold the apology with their lips like this. Like, you can actually hold the apology. How are you apologizing to me about yesterday with sass? You're not even just apologizing. We need to listen to what I'm saying. He apologized with sass. That's the... How are you apologizing to me with sass? And I'm glad that Whitney gave it back to him. And my thing as well was Meddy only apologized because Jess told him to. But anyway, of course, they were having a conversation and then he was just like, he's very sorry for what happened yesterday. And Whitney was like, and he was like, I'm sorry. And like, your apology doesn't stop there because yesterday you actually made me feel like a bully and you made me feel like an idiot, and that doesn't run and that is not okay. Like I said, he had a lot of sass in that apology. I think even, what did she say again? She said something along the lines of, I don't like that, and he was just like, I do what I want, like, no one tells me. Just, do you get what I mean? Just sass. Very irrelevant, okay? Very, very, very irrelevant, and it's a shame, guys. I like Meddy, but the way he treated Whitney in today's episode made absolutely no sense to me, and for that reason, he is, as Nicole said, in the bin. Now let's move on to Ty speaking with Leah, and he essentially told her that he wants to lock it off because his heart and his head is still very much set on Ella. I was given, it's time maturing, but at the same time, I think because of the challenge and the way Ella has been moving, not paying him any mind, and also ended up kissing Zach, he started to realize, hey, this one actually might leave my nest. So I feel like that's one thing that some guys actually struggle with as well. They only realize they're interested in a girl once, or they only realize they are still interested in a girl once they see her moving on, which is very interesting. If you're a guy and you do that, can you comment down below? Why do you do that? I don't understand. But I'm glad that he locked it off with Leah as well, and I guess that just lets us know as audiences and also viewers as well that he is very much interested in Ella, and we'll get on to that conversation at the end of the episode soon. Now, let us speak about our new bombshell, Scott. He is allegedly 22, and I'm saying that because why does everyone that go on, why am I stuttering? Why is it that everyone that goes on Love Island look so much older than their age? 22. Anyway, he's 22 apparently. God, I need to stop. But he's 22. I actually tweeted this as well. The new bombshell, he's good looking, but he's not at the same time. I don't know what it is. And one of you actually commented on yesterday's video as well, saying that he reminds you of Jax, which is quite interesting. You remember Jax, right? Oh, how come you ever forget Jax? Gemma's ex from, not last season, the season before. Yeah, but I can't really explain it, but he said that he's been single for 4 years. His last relationship lasted 10 months. Jess also said that she is 22. I was shocked, guys. 22, as in 20 plus 2 is Jess's years on this earth. Sis looks like she's nearing 30, and that's no shade. I just feel like she just looks much older. That's just honest truth. She looks much older. But they were speaking about Jess being a wag, and maybe he can leave the villa with a wife, etc, etc. Now let's move back to I'm going to go past Sammy and Leah because, like I said, I feel like they speak, but I don't see any developments in their conversations. All I see is literally Sammy looks like her, like he wants to chew her. That's literally it. We'll lastly move on to Ty and Ella. So they had a conversation, and he spoke to Ella saying that he honestly feels like he self-sabotages. He hasn't really been in a serious relationship before, blah, 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 and that's why he acts the way he acts. At first, Ella had a very stern face, but then she started to smile, and of course, they ended up kissing. Guys, Ella is in a chokehold with Tyrique, and everyone just needs to accept it. Okay? Everyone just needs to accept it. He was saying, you know, you've always been my number one. You've always been my priority. Like, Ella's not leaving this guy. And I'm scared because we don't know what's going to happen in Castle More. But I am glad that Ty boldly communicated what he wanted to do. I honestly feel like that's very, very, very brave of him. Especially with him saying, you know, he genuinely feels like he self-sabotages. And that's something that a lot of people can do as well. When something good happens to them, or a good person... Why am I talking like a relationship expert? Anyway, when something good happens to them, or a good person comes into their life, because they're just so used to people who aren't good, or they're just used to other things, they self-sabotage because they don't actually feel like they're worthy. Wow, I'm getting really deep. But anyway, they don't actually feel like they're worthy of having that good thing. So at least Tyrique was being very honest with himself, and he also wanted them to kiss and cheers to get him back on track. So I'm very intrigued to see what that back on track is going to look like. Of course, you guys know at the end of the episode, us viewers at home were given the opportunity to vote for our favourite girl and also our favourite guy. Let me know who you voted for down below. I voted for Whitney. And I also voted for Andre. Yeah, I voted for Whitney and I voted for Andre because I love Whitney, definitely stand her. And it would have been Medhi if Medhi didn't act the way he acted in today's episode. So yeah, that vote went to Andre, but I'd love to know who you guys voted for down below. But yeah, other than that, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, be sure to subscribe so that you can join the family and you don't miss any uploads. But yeah, guys, that is all I have for today. Please do have a lovely evening. Take care. God bless. I love you loads. And I shall see you tomorrow. Bye.